Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are doing something that might feel a little counterintuitive. Usually we are here tearing apart complex white papers, looking at the future of AI, or, analyzing shifting geopolitical landscapes. But today we are stripping all of that away. We are going back to the absolute hardware.
It is a bit of a reset, isn't it? We spend so much time talking about the software of society, the economics, the culture, the tech stacks, that we forget to look at the operating system running the whole show. And by that, I mean the biological hardware of the human being.
Exactly. And to do that, we are looking at a source that is, well, deceptively simple. We are analyzing Let's Go Student Book Unit 7, specifically the section titled The Senses. Now, before you hit skip thinking we're just reading a primary school English book, let me frame this for you. This text isn't just teaching vocabulary to kids. It is providing a taxonomy of reality.
That is the perfect way to put it. It is a taxonomy. When you look at a text designed for foundational learning, you are seeing the raw logic we use to categorize our existence. It forces us to ask, how do we translate a photon hitting the retina into the concept of beauty? How do we turn a vibration in the air into wonderful music?
It's the source code of perception. So the mission for this deep dive is to unpack the 5 pillars of perception laid out in this unit. We're going to look at the specific linguistic alchemy that turns physical objects into emotional states, and we're going to argue that this simple text actually lays the groundwork for how we build our entire personalities.
I am ready. It is fascinating to see how the text organizes just the chaos of the world into 5 distinct channels.
So let's start with the framework itself. The text opens with the classic 5 senses: sight, hearing, smell, touch, and taste. But what jumped out at me immediately wasn't the list, but the sentence structure. It forces a very specific grammar on the learner.
You're referring to the it, sense, verb, adjective formula.
Right. It looks beautiful, it sounds wonderful, it smells good. It feels remarkably rigid, doesn't it? Like, why not just say, the butterfly is beautiful?
Because that would miss the point of sensory processing. In linguistics and honestly in cognitive science, there is a massive difference between being and sensing. If you say the butterfly is beautiful, you are stating an objective fact about the universe. But if you say it looks beautiful,
you're centering the experience.
You're highlighting the channel.
You are identifying the mechanism.
Exactly. The text creates a causality loop. First, you have the object, the butterfly. Then you have the specific sensor coming online, the eyes looking. And only then do you get the data interpretation, beautiful.
So it's a 2-step verification for reality. You can't just know the music is wonderful.
You have to listen to it first. Precisely. The text commands you, listen to the music. It demands presence. In a world where we are constantly distracted, this basic text is reminding us that you cannot assess the quality of the input if you aren't actively running the sensor.
I love that. It's Mindfulness 101. Now, looking at the data set they've provided here, the specific examples, I have to say, it is aggressively optimistic.
It is a very pleasant world they are building.
It's a utopia. The butterfly looks beautiful. The music sounds wonderful.
The flower smells good.
The rabbit feels soft. The candy tastes sweet. There's no garbage trucks, no sour milk, no prickly cactus. Why this relentless positivity?
Well, structurally, it is about establishing archetypes. If you are training a neural network or a child to recognize taste, you don't start with complex acquired profiles like fermented or umami.
Right.
You start with the strongest, most direct signal.
Sugar.
Exactly. A strawberry isn't just a fruit in this context. It is the delivery mechanism for the concept of sweetness. It is the data point that defines the category.
And the sunset.
The sunset is the archetype of visual beauty. The rabbit is the archetype of tactile softness. By presenting the ideal version of the sense, the text calibrates the learner's baseline. You have to know what good smells like before you can understand nuance.
That makes sense. You're setting the 0 point on the scale. But let's look at the auditory section, because there's a little chant on page 62 called Listen, Do You Hear That Music? That introduces a social dynamic I found really interesting.
The confirmation loop.
Yes. The text doesn't just say the rainbow's amazing. It has a dialogue. Speaker A says, look, do you see that rainbow? And Speaker B says, yes, I do. It looks amazing.
And this is a crucial shift. Up until this point, we've been talking about individual perception. I see, I hear. But this chant introduces shared attention.
Why is that distinction so important in a book about senses?
Because sensory input is subjective. If I see a rainbow and you don't, my reality is unstable. I might be hallucinating.
Yeah.
But the moment you confirm, yes, I do, we have established a shared truth. We have grounded our reality in consensus.
It's the basis of society, really. Agreeing that the light is red, agreeing that the music is too loud.
And notice the escalation of the adjectives in that section. The rainbow isn't just good, it is amazing. The cookies aren't just sweet, they are delicious.
Delicious is a heavy hitter.
It is. Sweet is a chemical fact. There is sugar on the tongue. Delicious is an emotional reaction. It implies enjoyment, satisfaction, even joy. The text is teaching the learner to bridge the gap between this is what is happening and this is how I feel about it.
Which is the perfect segue to the next section where things get a little more chaotic. The sensory grid on page 63. This is the game section. And honestly, the collection of items here feels like a surrealist painting.
It is an eclectic mix.
We've got a lemon, a mirror, a singer, geometric art, chocolate, pretzels, and then, oddly, tree bark and a rock. It feels random.
It appears random, but it's actually a highly curated list of binary oppositions. They are setting up contrast. You cannot understand the concept of smooth without understanding rough.
So the mirror is there to define the rock.
Exactly. Think about a mirror. It is the ultimate smooth. It has zero friction. It is visual perfection, but tactile nothingness. Then you have the tree bark. It is pure texture. It is chaotic, uneven, gritty. The text forces you to categorize them. You have to physically imagine running your hand over the cool glass of the mirror and then the rough surface of the bark to understand the vocabulary.
It's training the brain to categorize by texture. And then they do the same for taste. But this is where I think the text actually treats the learner with a surprising amount of respect. They include bitter.
Yes, the dark chocolate.
Usually in these sorts of basic texts, everything is just yummy or yucky, maybe salty. But here we have the full spectrum: salty pretzels, sweet cake, sour lemon, and bitter chocolate. Bitter is a sophisticated concept.
It is. Biologically, bitterness is often a warning signal for poison. It is an evolutionary red flag. But we have learned, culturally and culinarily, to enjoy it in things like coffee and dark chocolate.
It suggests that the sensory world isn't just about simple pleasure, it has edges.
Right. And including it allows for a much more interesting conversation about the next big theme: preference.
The which do you like better section.
This is the pivot point of the entire unit. Up until now, we've been objective observers. The rabbit is soft. That is a fact. The lemon is sour. Fact. Now the text asks, salty food or sweet food? Which do you like better?
It asks the listener to define themselves. You're no longer just a camera recording the world. You're a critic. And some of these choices are easy, but then they throw in this curveball that I'm still obsessing over: a soft pillow or a hard pillow.
The classic sleep architecture binary.
I mean, look at the visuals. The soft pillow is this fluffy white cloud. The hard pillow looks like a rectangle of compressed foam. Who is the target audience for the hard pillow? Why present this as a valid choice?
I think you are revealing your own bias there.
Maybe I am. I'm a soft pillow guy.
But look at it objectively. From an ergonomic standpoint, a hard pillow represents structure, support, alignment. The soft pillow represents comfort, enveloping, sinking in. It's actually a profound personality test.
How so?
Do you want to be held by your environment, the soft pillow? Or do you want to be supported by it, the hard pillow? It's a question of stability versus luxury.
That is way deeper than I expected a conversation about bedding to go. But you're right, it forces a decision. And the text frames it as a permanent state. It doesn't ask, what do you want tonight? It asks, which do you like better?
It's identity construction. If you answer all these questions, I like loud music, I like bitter chocolate, I like hard pillows, you have sketched a distinct character profile. You are building a self out of these sensory preferences.
And the text gives you the grammar to defend that profile. I like X better. It empowers the learner to shape their environment.
That is key. Language is a control mechanism. If you cannot articulate, I like quiet music better, you are doomed to suffer through the noise. Vocabulary gives you agency over your sensory input.
Speaking of control mechanisms and agency, let's talk about the pinch. There is a visual on page 65 that I find hilarious and fascinating. 3 panels. A girl drinking, then pinching her nose, then pointing to her nose. And the command is simply, pinch your nose closed.
It is the only negative space in the whole unit.
What do you mean by negative space?
Everything else we've discussed is about receiving input. Open your eyes, listen to the music, taste the cake. Pinch your nose is about blocking input. It is the first lesson in sensory denial.
That's true. It's usually associated with bad smells or bad tastes. It's a biohack.
Exactly. The text is teaching you that you have a manual override. If the flower smells good, you inhale. But if the input is negative, you can physically intervene in your own biology to stop the signal. You can disconnect.
And right below that physical override, they introduce a linguistic distinction that requires extreme sensory precision, the phonics section, inch versus finch.
The battle of the sounds. Pinch, lunch, reach, peach.
It seems so trivial when you look at it on the page, but say them out loud. Pinch, lunch.
You can feel the nasal vibration. The N creates a bridge before the stop.
And then peach.
It's a clean break. Harder, sharper.
Why focus on this minute difference in a unit about senses?
Because it connects back to the theme of listening. You have to listen to language just as closely as you listen to music. It is training the ear to discriminate between very similar data points. If you can't hear the N in pinch, you are missing the reality of that word.
It's high-fidelity listening. And speaking of high fidelity, right in the middle of this phonics lesson, the text drops a massive philosophical question. It just sits there on the page. Why do foods taste different?
I love that they included this. It moves from what is this to why is this?
It's a huge question. You could answer that with biology, receptors, and molecules. You could answer it with chemistry. You could answer it with theology. Why isn't everything just flavorless, nutritious gray sludge?
The text doesn't answer it, though. Did you notice that?
It leaves it hanging.
Which is brilliant pedagogy. It prompts the learner to wonder. It validates curiosity. It suggests that the world is a puzzle to be solved, not just a menu to order from. It asks you to consider the mechanics behind the curtain.
And then it immediately pivots back to the personal. What is your favorite flavor? Why?
Again, the why. It forces you to rationalize your own instincts. I like strawberry. Why? Because it is sweet. You are building a logical framework for your own pleasure. You aren't just an animal reacting to stimuli. You are a conscious observer, analyzing why you like what you like.
I want to transition to the final piece of the puzzle, which I think is the most transformative part of this unit. It's the grammar rule at the bottom of page 65, the noun plus y equals adjective rule.
Ah, the linguistic alchemy. This is where the magic happens.
It seems so basic. You take salt, that's a rock, a noun, a physical substance you can hold. You add a y, you get salty. Now it's a descriptive quality.
You are transforming matter into experience. Think about the weather examples they use to drive this home.
Rain becomes rainy. Snow becomes snowy.
Rain is an object. It is water falling from the sky. You can point to it. But it is a rainy day. It describes a state of being. The why allows the object to permeate the entire environment.
That's a great distinction. When we say it is cloudy, we aren't just counting the clouds. We are saying the quality of the day, the light, the temperature, the mood is defined by cloudiness.
Exactly. It changes the focus from the thing itself to the experience of the thing. Wind is invisible air moving. Windy is the feeling of that air against your skin. This simple grammar rule is what allows us to move from listing inventory, I see a cloud, I see rain, to describing an atmosphere.
It basically allows us to paint the world. We aren't just living in a box of rocks and water. We are living in a rocky and watery world.
It signifies immersion. We are inside the description.
So if we zoom out and look at this entire unit 7, the senses, we've gone from look at the butterfly to why do figs taste different to it is a rainy day. Yeah. What is the big takeaway here? What is the deep dive insight from a primary school textbook?
I think the insight is that our reality is a construct of these categories. We assume sweet and soft and beautiful are objective truths out there in the world. But this text shows us that they are labels we apply. We have to learn them. We have to agree on them.
And we have to choose them.
Right. The most important lesson here isn't the vocabulary. It's the agency. The text teaches you to identify the input, categorize it, and then decide if you like it. It teaches you that you are the editor of your own sensory experience.
You're not just a passive receiver. You're a critic. You're deciding between the hard pillow and the soft pillow. You're deciding if the music is wonderful or just loud.
And that decision defines who you are. We are, in a sense, just a collection of our sensory preferences stacked on top of each other. That's what a personality is. It's a unique filter for the world.
That is a wildly profound thought to come out of a picture of a pretzel. But it holds up. If you strip away your job, your name, your history, what's left? Just the inputs. I am the thing that prefers the quiet. I am the thing that tastes the bitterness.
Exactly. We are the observer. And this book is the manual on how to observe.
So here is our challenge to you, the listener. The text asked, why do foods taste different?
What?
We want you to take that critical mindset into your day.
Don't just go on autopilot. We tend to numb ourselves to the daily inputs. We eat without tasting. We listen without hearing.
Exactly. The next time you drink a coffee or walk out into the wind or touch a pillow, engage the let's go logic.
Narrate it. Use the grammar. It tastes bitter. It feels rough. It is a windy day.
See if separating the observation from the feeling changes the experience. You might find that simply noticing the crunch of your toast or the chill of the air makes the world feel a little bit more high definition.
It is about waking up the sensors.
And hey, figure out if you're a hard pillow person or a soft pillow person. It apparently explains your entire worldview.
Choose wisely.
Thanks for diving deep into the basics with us. Go find something beautiful to look at, and we'll see you next time.